You've been lied to. Not maliciously, not intentionally, but lied to all the same. You've been sold a myth that change requires monumental effort. A myth that's left you exhausted, staring at the ceiling at 2 a.m., wondering why your big leaps always end with you face first in the mud. Here's the truth they won't tell you. Your biggest problem isn't a lack of motivation. It's not even discipline. It's that you're playing chess with the wrong rules. Think about the last time you tried to be better. You set a goal. You swore you'd stick to it. You white-knuckled your way through until life happened. The meeting ran late. The kids needed you. The couch whispered your name. And just like that, another promise to yourself crumpled like a failed origami project. But what if I told you that none of that matters? That goals are overrated? That willpower is a carnival trick, a flashy distraction from what actually creates change? Let me show you the invisible game you've been losing, the domino you've been missing. You've been taught to worship the big moments, the 5 a.m. alarms, the 30-day detoxes, the new you by Monday. But here's the brutal irony. The greatest force in human behavior isn't a dramatic transformation. It's 2%. 2% shifts so small they're almost embarrassing. A 20-second walk around your desk. Drinking water instead of reaching for the third coffee. Writing one sentence of that book you've been meaning to start. Tiny. Insignificant. Revolutionary. But because you've confused intensity for wisdom. You've been trying to dig a tunnel with dynamite, blasting yourself into burnout, when all you needed was a spoon. Consistency over time. But here's where it gets uncomfortable. Your habits aren't just things you do. They're votes for the person you're becoming. Every time you choose the salad, you're not just eating lettuce, you're casting a ballot for, I'm someone who cares about my health. Every time you scroll instead of read, you're not just killing time, you're etching, I'm someone who settles for distraction, into your bones. The silent war in your brain. Let's get raw for a moment. You don't have a habits problem. You are a habits problem. Your life today is a living museum of every micro-choice you've made for years. The stale relationship? That's the ghost of 1,000 I'll deal with it later decisions. The career plateau? That's the echo of good enough muttered on repeat. And yet, you keep trying to fix it by overhauling your entire life in a weekend. It's like performing open-heart surgery on yourself with a butter knife. What if you stopped trying to change and started evolving? The atomic paradox. James Clear wasn't just being clever when he called them atomic habits. Atoms are small, but split one and you unleash nuclear energy. That's the secret. The smaller the habit, the more explosive its potential. Want to read more? Don't vow to finish a book a week. Leave a novel open on your kitchen counter. Read one paragraph while waiting for the microwave. One paragraph becomes a page. A page becomes a chapter. A chapter becomes a mind that thinks differently. The magic isn't in the action. It's in the identity. Every time you show up, even laughably small, you're not just doing. You're rewiring. You're telling your brain, this is who we are now. But here's the catch. This isn't a life hack. This is a rebellion. A rebellion against the cult of overnight success. Against the shame of not trying hard enough. Against the idea that you're broken and need fixing. You don't need fixing. You need editing. 1 comma at a time. Now that we've dismantled the myth of monumental change, we'll confront why 99% of people's habits fail and how to engineer yours into the 1%. Prepare to dissect the dark side of motivation and why it's been setting you up to lose. Let me ask you something uncomfortable. How many times have you told yourself, this time will be different? You've chanted it like a prayer, scribbled it in journals, whispered it to your reflection in bathroom mirrors. But here's what no one admits. The louder your motivation screams, the faster it dies. Motivation isn't your ally. It's a fair weather friend, here for the photo op, gone when the rain starts. You've been taught to chase it, to find your why, to pump yourself up like a deflating balloon. But what happens when the adrenaline fades? When the world doesn't applaud? When your why feels as distant as a childhood dream? You crash. Here's the poison they sold you. Willpower is finite, but they told you to treat it like a superpower. You've been running on fumes, blaming yourself when the tank hits empty. But what if I told you that the most disciplined people on earth aren't draining their willpower? They're not stronger than you. They're architects. They design systems that make failure hard and success automatic. The hidden puppeteer you've been ignoring. You think you're in control of your choices. You're not. Every habit you have, good or bad, is a slave to your environment. Your couch wants you to binge Netflix. Your smartphone demands you scroll. Your kitchen begs you to eat the cookies left in plain sight. These aren't accidents. They're designs. Let's dissect your last relapse. You swore you wouldn't order takeout. But when you got home, the fridge was empty. The pots were buried. The only thing visible was your phone, with the food app one tap away. You didn't fail because you're lazy. You failed because your environment was engineered to make you lose. The modern world is a casino for bad habits. Every slot machine is rigged to make you crave, click, and consume. And you've been walking in with a sack of quarters, blaming yourself for lack of self-control. But here's the twist. You can rig the casino. The myth of trying harder. You've been gaslit by hustle culture, told to grind in a world that's actively hacking your brain's ancient wiring. Your ancestors didn't need willpower to avoid cake. They'd have killed for those calories. But now, cake is everywhere. Distraction is everywhere. Dopamine hits are cheaper than tap water. Trying harder in this war is like bringing a spoon to a drone fight. Real change doesn't come from moral superiority. It comes from physics. Reduce friction for good habits. Increase friction for bad ones. Want to read more? Leave the book on your pillow, not the shelf. Want to eat better? Throw out the chips. Yes, even this secret bag. Want to waste less time? Charge your phone in another room at night. You're not deleting choices. You're curating them. The brutal truth about goals. Goals are the enemy. Not because they're evil, because they're liars. They trick you into believing that crossing a finish line will fulfill you. But what happens when you get there? You set another goal, another mountain, another hit of someday. Worse, goals fixate you on the future while habits are stolen by the present. You're so obsessed with losing 20 pounds that you don't notice the daily donut. So fixated on being a writer that you ignore the blank page today. Systems, goals. Not a motivational poster. A law of nature. Writers write. Not someday. Today. One sentence. Athletes move. Not when they feel like it. One step. Leaders lead. Not when promoted. Today. One decision. You've been trying to reach a destination. What you need is to fall in love with the path. The invisible scripts running your life. Your habits aren't random. They're rituals. Sacred ceremonies that reinforce who you believe you are. I'm terrible with mornings. I'm just not a healthy person. I've always been bad with money. These aren't statements. They're spells. Every time you speak them, you etch them deeper into your identity. And your habits? They're just footnotes to that story. But what if you hack the script? Instead of, I need to run 3 miles, try, I'm someone who doesn't miss workouts. Instead of, I'll start saving next year, try, I'm someone who invests first. Behavior follows identity, not the other way around. The crossroads. This is where most quit. Because it's easier to blame motivation than to audit your environment. To chase goals than to build systems. To label yourself lazy than to admit you've been out-engineered by a bag of chips. You have 2 choices. Keep white-knuckling through life, trusting a brain that's 200,000 years out of date. Become a designer, an architect, a scientist of your own behavior. The first choice is familiar. The second is freedom. Now that we've exposed the invisible traps, we'll dismantle the biggest lie about habit change, that it's about consistency. Prepare to discover why time is irrelevant and how to make your habits unstoppable by hacking the laws of human behavior. The death of consistency and the rise of unstoppable systems. You've been told that consistency is the golden rule, that if you just show up every day, success will follow. But I need you to hear this. Consistency is a trap. It's a noose disguised as a mantra. Because when you worship consistency, you're worshiping time. And time doesn't care about you. It won't reward your suffering. It won't applaud your grind. It's a silent thief, stealing your resolve one missed day at a time. You've been trying to build habits like you're climbing a mountain, step by grueling step. But what if you could turn the mountain into a magnet? The lie you've been fed. Just keep going. Don't break the chain. It gets easier. These are half-truths sold by people who've never stared down the barrel of a bad day. The reality? Habits don't stick because of time. They stick because of physics. Think of your brain as a river. The more a behavior is repeated, the deeper the neural groove, the easier it flows. But here's what they don't teach you. Rivers don't force their way through rock. They follow the path of least resistance. Your habits aren't failing because you're weak. They're failing because you're trying to carve marble with a toothpick. Stop fighting gravity. Start using it. The 2-second law of behavior. Every habit is a decision, but decisions are battles, and battles are lost before they're fought. The moment you decide to act, you have a 2-second window. That's it. After that, your ancient brain, the one wired to conserve calories and avoid lions, takes over. It'll rationalize, negotiate, sabotage. So here's the hack. Make the right choice 2 seconds easier than the wrong one. Want to run in the morning? Sleep in your workout clothes. Want to eat healthy? Leave pre-cut veggies screaming at you from the front fridge shelf. Want to quit doom scrolling? Delete the app. Not just off your home screen, delete it. You're not avoiding temptation. You're erasing it from the script. The myth of missed days. Let's bury this corpse once and for all. Missing a day doesn't ruin your progress. Your reaction to missing a day does. The second you shame yourself for slipping, you hand your identity back to the old story. See? I'm not a runner. I'm not a writer. I'm not. Here's the rewrite. A missed habit isn't failure. It's data. It means your system has a leak. Fix the system, not your soul. Did you skip the gym because you slept through your alarm? Move the alarm across the room. Did you binge Netflix instead of working? Put the remote in a timed safe. Did you forget to meditate? Tape the mantra to your bathroom mirror. Habit science isn't about perfection. It's about iteration. The nuclear option, identity lock-in. You've tried affirmations, vision boards, fake it till you make it. But none of that sticks because your brain smells desperation. Here's the pivot. Don't practice habits. Perform rituals. A ritual isn't something you do. It's something you are. Brushing your teeth isn't a habit. It's a ritual of, I am someone who cares for my body. Reviewing your budget isn't a chore. It's a ritual of, I am someone who commands my future. Rituals don't require motivation. They demand reverence. The feedback loop that never fails. Progress isn't a destination. It's a drug, but you've been overdosing on the wrong kind. Likes, retweets, vanity metrics. These are sugar highs. The real drug? Micro-evidence. Did you write one sentence? That's a hit of, I'm a writer. Did you walk for 5 minutes? That's a hit of, I'm someone who moves. Did you save $1? That's a hit of, I'm an investor. You don't need more discipline. You need a smarter dealer. The inversion. Here's where most experts stop. They give you the keys and say, drive. But I'll give you the last piece they're too afraid to share. The only habit you need to master is killing your excuses. Not tomorrow. I don't have time. What's one action that takes 30 seconds? I'm too tired. What's the 2% version of this habit? I don't know where to start. What's the smallest possible step? Voice rising, unrelenting. Your excuses are stories. And you're the author. The threshold. You're standing at the edge of a paradox. The less you rely on consistency, the more unstoppable you become. Because when you engineer your environment, rituals, and identity, habits stop being something you do. They become something you are. The next session isn't about closing the loop. It's about igniting a chain reaction. Now that we've shattered the illusion of consistency, we'll fuse everything into a single law, a principle so primal it governs every habit you'll ever form. Prepare to confront the ultimate question. Who will you become when your habits no longer require thought? This is not an ending. It's a detonation. Everything you've learned, the myths shattered, the systems built, the rituals forged, has been leading here. to a single law that governs every habit, every choice, every life ever lived. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. But today we go deeper. The final layer, identity without effort. Close your eyes. Picture someone who wakes up at dawn without an alarm, who reaches for water instead of sugar, who writes not because they have to, but because their hands itch to create. That person isn't a superhero. They're not more disciplined than you. They've simply crossed a threshold where their habits are their identity. Not something they do, but something they exhale. This is the end game. When your habits become as involuntary as breathing, you're no longer practicing change. You've become change itself. The law of atomic identity. Every habit you've ever formed was a brick in the cage of who you thought you were. But here's the secret they buried. You are not your past. You are your next ritual. That morning coffee? It's not caffeine. It's a vote for, I'm someone who cherishes quiet moments. That evening walk? It's not exercise. It's a declaration of, I'm someone who moves through life with intention. You've been told to find yourself. But identity isn't found, it's forged. Hammered into existence by the anvil of microactions. The autopilot paradox. Right now, your life runs on autopilot. But here's the twist. You get to program the coordinates. The moment you stop seeing habits as tasks and start seeing them as traits, saving money becomes, I'm someone who builds legacies. Reading becomes, I'm someone who communes with giants. Silence becomes, I'm someone who hears the whispers of the universe. You're not adopting habits. You're mutating. The inevitability principle. When you engineer your environment, rituals, and identity with surgical precision, something terrifying happens. Success becomes inevitable. Not because you're trying, but because you've removed all other options. The cookies aren't in the house. The book is always open. The phone can't reach you after dark. You've made good habits the only habits. This is how ordinary people achieve extraordinary things, not by chasing greatness, but by eliminating everything that isn't greatness. The ultimate question. So I'll ask you now, with the raw clarity that only truth provides. Who will you be when your habits no longer require thought? Will you be the ghost of someday? Or the architect of now? The answer isn't in your mind. It's in your next action. The chain reaction. One last truth, the one that ties the atomic to the infinite. A single habit, small enough to seem meaningless, can rewrite your trajectory. But only if you let it compound. Not for a day, not for a month, until it becomes the air you breathe, the blood in your veins, the unshakable knowing that this is who you are. The lie was that you needed to change. The truth? You needed to become. You've reached the end, but this is where you begin. Now go and become. This video was produced by Rocket Motivation. Please like and subscribe to support us. Thank you for listening.